Hi, I'm Colleen Taylor with TechCrunch TV. Here with me is Bing Gordon of Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield and Byers. Hi, Bing.
Hi.
How's it going?
If you get a Series A and you got a hunch, the first thing you got to do is get on TechCrunch.
That's a good one. He's good with the zingers today. He's a poet. So you just came off of a panel here at South by Southwest. You discussed gamification. You're sort of an expert on all things gaming, right? I mean, you started your career way back.
I've been doing it for so long. My past is littered with failures and successes.
And so what's kind of a big mistake that you see startups making when it comes to gamification? Everybody wants to gamify. Is there something that you see that just keeps happening and is bad?
Well, it's a rookie move to believe that game techniques can take spinach and turn it into dessert. So what it does, it gets you, if you already like spinach, game techniques can get you to eat a little more spinach. And if you already like dessert, maybe you can get it to eat a little less dessert. So it's, I think a gamification is kind of a personal trainer for behaviors.
Do you feel like, I feel like in the past year or two, when you would say gamification, a lot of people would roll their eyes. It was kind of the buzzword of the moment. Did it kind of get oversaturated, or was that, what do you think about that?
I think it's kind of the case with all memes. The early adopters get bored with a new meme as other people are just hearing about it. Simple. The rhetoric of buzz usually requires alliteration or rhyming or buzzwords that after a while you can tell they're trying to manipulate you into increasing believability. But it's kind of like a nickname. And if you have a good nickname, you might as well keep it, even though it might be considered demeaning. So it's a nickname that's somewhat easy to remember. It's a little long to be easy to remember, but it's a nickname for creating meaning for gamers out of game-like principles.
And then moving beyond gamers, I think, is the interesting thing too, because now we're seeing a lot of social apps employing these gamification techniques. I mean, how has it changed since the early days of Electronic Arts that gaming is going so widespread now?
So first, I'd say Darwin can prove that all species are gamified. The natural selection is the ultimate game. But the cool thing about someone like Mark Pincus, but basically also the visionaries at Apple and the visionaries at Google, is they don't want a good small audience, they want everybody. And it was unimaginable to me. When I first met the visionaries at Apple, I said, gaming is a mass medium. There's 10 million unit sellers and 20 million unit sellers. And they said, oh, Bing, said Scott Forstall. Oh, Bing, that's not a mass market. There's 1 billion phones sold every year. That's a mass market. And I thought he was crazy. And these numbers used to seem crazy. But if you want to change the world, you can start with a beachhead, but in the end, you need to take the whole continent.
And so you're talking about how these numbers, I know during your panel you talked about how just the bar for being an impressive app or a successful app has changed so much just in the past couple of years.
It's like Austin Powers, when he comes back and says, my ransom is $1 million, and everybody laughed. It used to be, my app has reached 500,000 users, and everybody laughs. So it's kind of the Austin Powers of audience reach. Now, it was $1 billion for Austin Powers. It's kind of 10 million for these new entrepreneurs like Bo Lasky and Joe Fernandez and Dave Morin.
Yeah.
You got to get to 10 million to matter.
And I want to switch a little bit because I know you're on the panel, or you're on the board of directors at Zynga. Just had a very successful initial public offering. They're doing pretty well. How do these IPOs affect the larger ecosystem? And how do you think the Facebook IPO coming up, how do you think these things are going to change Silicon Valley and startups?
Well, for those of us who own homes in the San Francisco Bay Area, it's good to already be a homeowner when there's liquidity events. And if you don't, you kind of feel like you need to be working for one of these companies. So liquidity changes real estate prices. The battle for management is to have it not change a company culture. You want people to still stay focused on the long term and on the mission. And you do that through, some people opt out. The mercenaries opt out. And, puts an additional focus on culture and team. Because in the end, most of us stay in organizations because of our peers and this shared sense of mission. So it's important after the IPO to redouble the mission. I discovered at Electronic Arts, when we got our first Series A funding, we breathed a sigh of relief, like we felt rich and we could take time off. There's a real temptation every time you have any financing event to make weekends last for 3 or 4 or 5 days. And you learn after you've done that a while that you kind of need to put it behind you, and pros go back to work. Amateur sportsmen, I learned this from professional hockey players, amateurs play a game and then they take 3 or 4 days getting ready again. And the pros figure out how to bring it every day in every game. As interviewers have to do, you got to be there again and again and again. So for experienced people, an IPO is just a step along the way, and the sooner you get it behind you, the better.
Do you feel like you can identify who's going to be a pro early on? I mean, you said you've had hits and misses, but you've aligned with some very successful startups. How do you identify those people?
I think success, there's luck, and then there's active will. So I tell students as well that I'm very interested in lifelong learners. And my first cue as someone who's not a lifelong learner is they take feedback with their arm crossed and say, yes, but. So if they go, yeah, I know I could improve, but I tell you, you're now telling me you don't want to learn again. And if you don't want to learn again, you're not going to keep up. You're going to be a roadkill of Moore's Law. So people who have, I like the people best who have practices about how to do lifelong learning. A guy named Don Matrick, who's at Microsoft, he would hire coaches for his family retreats. There's other people, like Vinod Khosla, read a lot of books and have a great reading list. There's some people who network and learn from other people. Dave Morin has got this network of smart people. Everybody wants to talk to him all the time. So you can do it through people. You can do it through putting yourself in cool places. You can do it through books. You could do it through advisors, but you have to do it. And so one thing I look for is, how do you learn? And if somebody looks at me like, well, what do you mean? I'm already out of college or high school. That's like, fail.
Yeah. And I have one last question. I saw you on stage at F8 back in September, and I remember you said that you thought there was a big opportunity untapped for someone to unify the Android operating system and to come up with some sort of application. Have you found that yet? Is that still the golden ticket, or what do you think now is the big opportunity?
I think curating Android is still a golden ticket. I think there's opportunities in curating social geography, kind of geography-based social, and geography-based commerce as well. Zarly's starting to do that, get stuff not through e-commerce, but, G-commerce. So I think that's an opportunity, but still it's just amazing to me on Android that there's no spokesperson for the Android experience yet. And, maybe it'll be Google.
Maybe. Well, thank you so much, Ming. It was really nice to talk to you, and have fun.
Keep up the good work. We need spokesmodels for the industry. And I was talking about TechCrunch, not you, but I guess I should talk about you as well.
I'm totally going to put that on my resume now. I'm going to act like you said that about me.
Spokesmodel for the emerging internet.
Thanks.